Zoning Board of Mexico Beach for the 27th of February to order. Proceed with the roll call.
Mr. Hogan.
Here.
Mr. Bush.
Here.
Mr. Kerrigan.
Here.
Mr. Driver.
Here.
Mr. Master.
Here.
Our first issue is to review and approve the minutes from the January 30th meeting. Has everybody on the board had an opportunity to review the minutes as they're printed on the back of this agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Kerrigan, for noticing that.
Does anybody have any corrections or additions to the minutes? There being none, can I have a motion from the board to approve the minutes as they're noted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved as written. Okay, the business we have to take as far as the comprehensive plan is to go over the utilities element, which we did last time, and then to take our first look at the coastal management element. And taking a look at the copy that Alara has done, I feel pretty confident with it. So what I'd like to do is give everybody on the board an opportunity to address any issues you have with the way she's done it to her, and we'll go right down the line. And then once we've got that taken care of, we'll go into the coastal management. Again, Alara will take over on that thing. And I'll also give the audience an opportunity, once each member of the board has had an opportunity to address her utilities element. Bill, let's start with you, and then we'll go in the other direction.
Okay. The only thing I had, which is just a minor point, policy 4.A.1.3, first page, where we have Mexico Beach shall not exceed 0.473 million gallons per day. Mel, is that a number that someone gave you, or are we comfortable with that? That's the real number? Okay.
Yeah, I think when we went over this last time, Bill, all the numbers were given, how much usage an individual should have a day and all that other stuff. I think
Right.
that came directly from what they've done with
Right.
Bay County.
That number is actually from the interlocal agreement you have with the county, and that's your maximum allowance.
Is it written that way, 0.473 million rather than 473,000
Yes.
gallons? Okay.
Hey, Jack,
No, I don't have anything.
Alex, David, you got anything? Hey, I have one minor point. Again, this is kind of wordsmithing, I guess, but policy 4C.1.6, the city shall routinely evaluate the need for replacement or upgrade of its elevated storage tank.
Yeah.
Here's another one of those weasel words again, routinely. What does that mean? So I think we need to address, how often should we be doing that? Every 5 years, every 3 years?
Everything else in here is every year. It's on an annual basis that inspecting the water tower and all of that.
Mel, do you know if that's evaluated on a regular basis?
During the budget process, we always look at what available money we got, and this year, in particular, we're going to really insist that the board spend the money for inspections and that sort of thing, and actually get a contract with someone who's qualified to do the inspections and make repairs and that sort of thing. So routinely, you're right, is a relative term.
Yeah, you can go 10 years, without doing anything. You say routinely, so.
Right.
What's customary among other municipalities? Is there?
Well, usually you don't, put a frogman in the water and inspect it every year. It's usually every few years.
No, but this is replacement or upgrade. It's based on the capacity of the water tower based on the population. I mean, that's why I'm complaining about the water pressure on the other end of the beach, because I don't have any. If we had a bigger water tower, it was taller, we wouldn't have those issues.
Well, most of the time, or the water tower just sits there and is used only in emergency situations. We have pumps that push the water to your house.
We just upgrade the pumps in. But I mean, I just don't like weasel words. It lets people skate. So,
And usually the reason a local government will write it that way is to make sure that when they evaluate their capital improvements budget every year, they have enough funds to do what it says. But if you feel confident that every 3 or 5 years you'll have enough funds, we can always write it in.
what do we want to say?
Not less than every 3 or 5.
Every 5 years? 3 years?
Do we know the last time it was done?
Yeah, it'd be more. We would do it more often than 5, but if you want to put in 5, that's just to put in the figure. That's fine.
Well, let's do 3 then.
Do we know the last time it was done?
Well, frankly, we evaluate every year the water tower, because at one time, some people want us to take it down completely because we run off the pumping system. But what we feel is, for safety precautions, you know, if the water source from Bay County gets cut off completely, at least we have enough water in the tower to have water for a while. Might last just a day or two, but at least that's something while we get it all fixed.
And I think that, I don't know if it's required, but it's at least strongly encouraged that you have that alternate water source just in case there's an emergency or something happens.
Right. And we've got a grant right now that we're in the area, in the Wallace Pump area on 15th Street. We've drilled a test well down there for alternate water source. And that grant is from the state, so it didn't cost us anything. So once that's done and in, we'll have a source of our own.
Okay, how does the board feel about that? Are you happy with the way it is? Am I the only
No, I
stick in the mud?
don't mind a 3-year,
3 years.
3-year.
Okay, so can we write that every 3 years?
So the city shall evaluate the need for replacement or upgrade of its elevated storage tank no less than every 3 years.
Yeah, that sounds
Perfect,
fine.
yeah.
And that was the only thing I had, so. Public,
Where is the section for stormwater?
that's
Isn't that somewhere?
further down,
It's on goal D, 4D.
4D, drainage sub-element.
There we go, okay. All right. This is 4D 1.2. The city shall regulate new development and substantial redevelopment in a manner which reduces stormwater impacts on drainage facilities and natural resources. Is that explained in more detail somewhere? Because that doesn't say squat. And I consider it to be completely ineffectual.
It is something that should be better outlined in the land
In the
development.
LDR, when we redo the LDR.
Okay.
And your stormwater management plan that was just done a 3 years ago should outline whatever improvements based on the study that
Okay.
ROH did at the time need to be made. And I think that they're including those as they financially can in the capital improvements budget.
Okay, as long as it's covered somewhere else.
A lot of these things in here that just basically say we're going to go into great more detail in the LDR.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, I think we're good with that. Can we go ahead and move on to the conservation element? Or the coastal resources element, I'm sorry.
Yes, so the coastal management element is one that's required by any community that is coastal, and includes Bay County and another county that, the city that borders the coast, and it's required by a statute. This is kind of the guts of what the grant was looking to make sure happened. And as part of your packet, you received kind of a checklist that I just extracted from the language from the grant that said this is what you kind of need to be doing, and this is the 3-page DEO grant agreement PO 0262 deliverable requirements. So Part A and Part B list what the state is going to be looking for when this is eventually transmitted to them for review. And so those policies that are listed underneath Part A and Part B of that 3-page analysis are extracted from the revised coastal management element. There are certain things in 163.31, I can't remember, 163.3178 that list what you kind of have to talk about in the coastal management element. So I made sure to pay attention to those requirements when I was redrafting your element. There's also a couple of maps here at the end, and I think Mel passed out a larger form because it's too small, you can't really read it. But Bay County GIS is really very helpful in developing these maps, and this is the coastal high hazard area, which you feel like you're looking at a blank map, but it really isn't that great of an area. It's just that blue shaded area along the beach and then along the canal, so you don't really have a huge coastal high hazard area in
Okay.
Mexico Beach.
That was a question. What do they consider coastal management?
The coast, the, I'm sorry, the coastal
Well,
high
I
hazard
mean,
area?
The land area, what would be considered that?
The land that's inside of the coastal high hazard area?
I think that was one of the questions I had. In under 2A, you've got marked out coastal area shall be considered the entire jurisdictional area of Mexico Beach. Generally, how deep does a coastal area go?
That's my
away
question.
from the
That's what I'm
shore?
trying to say.
Because I mean, I didn't feel like looking up 9J 5.003.
It doesn't exist anymore. 9J5 was eliminated by the legislature in 2010, so there's no more 9J5. So all of your references to 9J5,
Okay, but specifically, what is a coastal area? How deep does it go?
Yeah, that's my question.
well, it can be what you define it as today, because there's no state oversight, and I actually took it out because you didn't really have a need to address it since the coastal high hazard area was covered in here, the storm surge zones were covered in here. So those types of issues that pertain to flood zones and your storm surges are specifically addressed rather than the entire coastal area, which was previously defined by 9J5, or the entire city limits. But 9J5 doesn't exist, so nothing requires you to define this coastal area.
So we could define it the way we wanted to define it.
You
if we
can
thought it was
today,
necessary.
if you feel a need to.
Well,
But then
as long as
you
what's
wanna-
required by statute is covered, I don't see a need to cover something that isn't covered by statute.
Well, and then the other thing is you wouldn't really need to define something that you're not going to regulate later in the policy. So unless you have something that you want to
I'm happy with it. It is. And
say
anybody
applies
else
to
on
the
the board
coastal
Yeah.
think it needs to
area.
be addressed? Okay. Okay.
And then part B of that, the coastal high hazard areas, the definition actually changed. So that has been reworded here in the element. And that is policy 5.3.1. So prior, it was a different, they measured it differently than after 2010, they changed the definition to be the category 1 storm surge. So did that answer your question?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, what is a coastal area? Is it
So-
1 mile from the beach? Is it 50 feet? I mean, if they are requiring this by statute, then you would think that somebody would say,
But they're not. There used to be, so there's the Florida statutes and then there's the Florida Administrative Code. And so
Okay.
the ones that you see that are 9J5s or 63Bs or whatever are the Florida Administrative Code.
okay,
If it's just a citation of 163 point something something Florida statutes, then that's in the statutes. And so back in 2010, the legislature just took out the entire 9J5. There is no more 9J5.
Okay.
They eliminated it. Some of that they took and wrapped into the statute, some of it they didn't. They didn't move the coastal area or the coastal plain area into the statutes. They just totally eliminated it. So if you want to define a coastal area or coastal plain area is what it should be, we can, but it's just purely a local policy decision at this point. It's not required by the state legislature.
I shouldn't have asked because I'm more confused now.
There is no definition anymore. It's what you want it to be in your own community.
But they require by statute that you do something about it.
Well, if you have any effect on your coastal area, like in the conservation element, would that,
Well, we have to talk about the coastal high hazard area, and we have to talk about which is the category 1 storm surge. So these are your different storm surges, and the blue is the category 1, which is what it's trying to show you on this map, but the scale of the map, it's hard to see. It's just that thin blue line along the shore is
Okay.
the coastal high hazard area, and I think it goes along the canal a little bit too, but that's just about all you have. So I had the GIS department do an analysis on how many properties that affected, and it's hard to kind of say, because if it touches a property but the building's not the property, you can't really analyze that. Because
Okay.
they're not looking at building footprints, they're just looking at acres.
Well, just looking at the map, the only ones I can see that may be affected would be on the canal.
Right, I agree with you. That's all of your coastal high hazard area would be
Okay.
those properties along the canal.
Okay.
So you're required to address the coastal high hazard area, and you're required to address storm surges, and the grant wanted you also to address flood peril, which is any kind of storm surge or flooding issues that you might have, and some of that could be contributed to your stormwater issues, your flooding. So, so it's important to address your stormwater management plan also, you know, as you go through time. But as far as addressing a coastal plain area, it's not required by the state any longer because they just wiped it out.
Okay.
So you can do so if you want to, but you're not required to.
Okay.
But my thing is that if you're not going to address the coastal plain area inside of your policy, then there's no reason
Yeah.
to define it.
Agreed.
It would just-
Hey, let's start on goal 5A, maintaining or improving the quality of coastal resources. Go through objective 5.1. After we're done with that, then we can go through 5.2 and so on. So is there anything you want to point out specifically in 5.1?
This first goal and objective are trying to kind of maintain or mitigate damage to natural resources, which includes like shoreline protection and beach protection, so that you're not degrading this resource that's helping protect you. So that's the goal of this first goal and objective. So protect and policy 5.1.3 says protect and enhance landforms such as riverbanks, wetlands, and sand dunes that serve as a natural mitigation feature. So the idea is if you protect those and leave them intact, then they help protect you in the event of a hurricane or some sort of storm surge event.
Mel, could you make that a little bit bigger?
I have an add to this, or a question on this section though.
Sure.
5.1.1 where we list all those down.
Yes.
And also at 5.1.3 where that you talked about, because the canal is such an integral part of our community, I think the canal should be listed there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bill.
Is it got an official name or is it just called the canal?
Just the canal.
Just the canal.
Panama, official name, Panama Beach Canal.
Mel, what about the part on the quarry property? Is that still Mexico Beach Canal, or is that actually Salt? I know Salt Creek's the other one. I don't know how far that goes back up or what we call that, but we should include that as part of this, I think.
That's still the canal.
Still the canal?
Yeah.
Okay, even though it's not navigable, really?
You can get there.
Yeah. Okay,
Not by a
as long as we
big
got
boat.
it covered.
Smaller boat.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll put a part F, the Mexico Beach.
Right, and then also in that 5.1.3, we should probably list it there because we listed the other ones.
Yeah. Anything else, Bill?
Got something on the next page.
Well, let's go, you go through everything you've got in 5.1. We'll go through 5.1 before we move on to 5.2.
Okay. On the next page, under E, I just had a question where we talk about impact of wetlands, blah, 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 permits applicable, blah, blah, blah. Clearing or building permit, and I think dredging should be in there someplace, to make sure we've got that covered, that somebody, I know the Corps of Engineer probably wouldn't let somebody just take off and do dredging, but
Okay.
if we've got it in
Yeah,
ours, it wouldn't
yeah.
hurt.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, because this is talking about the issue of the city's tree removal permit, or the city's land clearing permit, or the city's building permit. Does the city issue a dredging permit?
We don't. We get one from the state, but we don't issue them at all.
We
Nor
get-
would we want
How-
to.
if-
We get
if-
one for us,
Right.
but not, if there's an individual in the back of the canal that wants to dredge,
And they go to the state.
they go to the state?
Correct.
Okay.
We're not qualified to intelligently give them a yes or no answer what the impact would be on nature.
Yeah, so this is saying that they have to get their state permit before the city will issue a tree removal, land clearing, or building permit. So that's where, it might not be a dredging permit because the city doesn't issue a dredging permit. We rely on the state to issue
Yeah.
it. Okay.
So if somebody just starts dredging, didn't get a state permit, what right do we have to say anything?
You have to call that state agency like FDEP and report them.
Okay. As long as that'll work, that's fine.
Okay, while we're on E, I have any development with a potential, what does potential mean? Who determines what the potential for degrading the area is?
That's, you're right there, but in order to, I don't know how I would reword it to affirmably say that someone was going to affect the water quality or quantity. I can say any development that will impact, but then again, somehow you gotta prove that it will.
I mean, I don't know how to handle that. That's one of those other weasel words that I don't like.
Would somebody have to get an inspector, an architect, or somebody in there to say, you can do this and this and this, or?
As far as building,
Yeah, under E here,
so this is.
when you said the potential, well,
Right.
how do you know what that is? Who's gonna say it's the
Well,
potential?
generally, if you're not providing any protection measures between the upland clearing and the wetland, that's why you have to get your DEP permit, because they'll require you to either have some sort of silt fencing or some sort of hay bale fencing or something to prevent the soil from eroding down into the wetland or whatever water body it is.
Well, so then, the potential DEP would deal with that then, is that you're telling me
Well,
that's
this
something?
is just saying that before the city is going to issue any tree removal or land clearing, you issue land clearing permits,
If there's a development going on.
then you have to get your state permits first, so that they would know that whatever activity is gonna happen, FDEP's already looked at it and said, well, you have to have this, this, and this as your mitigation. And then they would show that to the city, and then the city would check the list, okay, well.
Okay, well, then potential's not an issue, because DEP would have already taken care of that. If there was a potential, they would have required them to do something, is that correct?
They would be required to do something by the state, correct?
Okay, well, then
Yeah.
it's not an issue then.
But how do you know you're gonna be required? I mean,
Because the state will tell them.
Pretty much anytime you're going to affect a wetland, you have to get a DEP permit.
so this was basically talking about the canal.
Or a wetland, you know.
The area behind back here.
Yeah, there was one, that child's property.
Plus your
Yep.
550 acres of annexation, I'm sure has wetland in it somewhere. The undeveloped area to your west.
That's why Zach Childs developed the front part of that lot and not the back
Right.
part of the lot, because in the
Right.
back you got wetlands.
So is wetlands defined in our
Yes.
maps?
It's defined by the state. Wetlands are defined by the state. DEP is the organization or the department that handles those determinations.
But my question is, we have wetlands in Mexico Beach, I know that. How do you know where they're at?
You have to have them delineated by an environmental engineer or ecologist.
But would you have a map that would depict?
Yeah.
Any site plan by an engineer will depict on there whether it's a wetland or not.
So there's not just an existing map where they're already previously identified?
Well, you have the National Wetlands Inventory. It's a great start. It's a desktop analysis, but it's not ground truth at all because it's done at the national level, the National Wetlands Inventory. So coming down to the Mexico Beach scale, it's going to have some wiggle room. So that's why you generally are required to delineate your wetlands before you get to the development permit stage with somebody on the ground actually flagging it. And studying. It has to do with the soil conditions, not necessarily whether or not the ground is wet.
It just seems like if it's questionable, that you could get into a rabbit hole trying to figure out what to do here.
With the wetlands,
Yeah,
that's why most local governments rely on the state to handle that for them, because they've got the expertise. It's a technical thing.
Bill? Anything else?
Nope, not till
Jack?
next page.
No? Alex? David? Okay, I have two more. 5.1 subsection F, reserve issuance of building permits. I don't like that word reserve. I would think withhold or something like that, or,
Okay.
because that's just, reserve makes it kind of like, nobody else can do this or something.
Right.
And then the same thing applies to J, which is another one of those reserve approval. I'd say withhold approval until you do the following. Okay, that's all I had. Audience? Okay, moving on to objective 5.2. Prioritize future shoreline uses. Bill?
We're on page 5.
We're on page 5-3.
Okay. Under resource conservation, I think we ought to move shoreline stabilization, dune protection to the first one. It's semantics, but wetlands are not as important as the shoreline and dune protection for us. And then on,
How does the rest of the board feel about that? We haven't given a priority in the order that they're listed, but I think by sticking it first, I have to agree with you. We'd say that we're more concerned with that than we are with anything else, at least from our LDR perspective. So I would concur with Bill on that. How about the rest of it?
yeah, it says following shoreline uses in order of priority, and I think they're referring to the 1, 2, 3, 4, but it wouldn't hurt to have it first.
So then wetlands would be B and protection.
Yeah. And then on the next page, number 7 at the bottom, marinas with fueling facilities will provide pump-out facilities at each fuel dock. The Mexico Beach docks do not have that capability. And also it talks about transient traffic shall provide upland sewage facilities and prohibit inappropriate sewage pump-out. So our marinas don't have that ability.
Commercial marinas of those with a liveaboard overnight transient traffic shall provide upland sewage facilities that and prohibit. So what do they have?
They have a bathroom you can get out and go to, which if that's upland sewage facilities. But as far as,
Where do they pump their sewage out from the boat?
The boats in the canal, those big
there's,
boats that are.
there's one pump in one spot that I guess works, but there's certainly not fueling facilities will provide pump-out facilities at each fuel dock.
So there's one, but not one at each fuel
Well,
dock.
Right.
there's one fuel dock here,
There's one fuel dock and one pump out facility?
Right.
but they're not co-located.
It doesn't say it has to be. Oh, it says at each fuel dock.
But I agree, they should, I like the way it's written, I think that's the way it should be. That prevents anybody from pumping sewage into the canal. And if they don't, then they probably have to do that then.
Well, this is an existing policy that hasn't been changed, so it's been in existence at least since 2010, since your last plan.
Right.
And I personally think that's the way it should be. And if the marine is not doing that, then,
But see, we're not doing it either. We built all those new docks. There's no sewage pump out, except one in a general area. It's not at every single area. So,
Someone stays
well,
in their boat.
marinas with fueling facilities will provide pump-out facilities at each fuel dock. Commercial marinas and those with liveaboard overnight transient traffic. That
So,
just says
yeah.
it will provide appropriate, one would see.
one at the fuel area, so you're right
One
there.
at, so the only thing that we're not doing is one, no, there's not one at the fuel area. There is one down where the transient boats are docked.
Yes, I assume that still works.
Sewage pump out location?
Mhm. There's a pump there, I don't know whether it works or not, but that's the only one we've got.
I'd say, Mel, will you make a note of that? And
Or do
Make
you know if
sure-
it works? It's not our marina, so I have no idea.
Yeah, it is our.
No, it's not, we're not talking about the marina, we're talking about the rentals down there along the canal.
Okay.
Just make sure that that works, and then the marina's gonna have to adjust to the LDR.
Where's that located along the canal?
It's directly in front of the, just before you turn to the left to go straight towards the beach. It's right there on the
Where
left.
that
It's a
open
white
lot is
box.
on the west.
It's,
So
no,
the-
it's on the dock side. There's a white,
That's what I said, it's right where that area, there's an open area behind it.
yes, yes.
So the idea, and it's open, the idea is that one of those bigger boats that have cabins that people could come spend the weekend on
That's where
would
they'll go
go
pump out
tie
their
up there,
necessaries.
pump out their sewage and return to their typical slip.
Theoretically, yep.
You know, theoretically, what they do is pump out before they leave, they wouldn't come in every day and do it, because they'd have a holding facility.
But some of those boats never leave. They're just big boats that are paying long-term leases or whatever they do. It's-
Yep. Then the harbor master should be on top of that to know what's happening.
I like the way it's written, and if we're not doing it, then we need to do it that way. How about the rest of the board?
So this gives the harbor master teeth.
Yeah. Okay, Bill, what else you got?
Let's see, what should I have? If you want to go over to page 5-8,
Is that objective 5.2?
it's 5.6, I guess. So we-
No, well, let's wait, we can do each objective. one at a
Okay.
time.
then I'm good. Till we
Jack?
get there.
I'm good too.
Alex? I'm fine on that one. Let's go to 5.3, which is on,
5.5.
Five.
5.5.
I'm looking for.
There's a, I see 5.4, then a 5.3 under that.
You know,
On 5.5, there's a,
objective 5.4, and then it's policy 5.3.1.
yeah, that's what I was looking at, that's,
Well, it's hard to see because when you strike through on a 4, it's striking through exactly where the 4 bar is. So you can't see, but that 4 is actually stricken through and then the 3 is underlined.
Where are we talking about, Laura? Because I'm not
On
following.
objective 5.3, they're saying it says 5.43, but actually the 4 is stricken through. It's just when it strikes through, that's exactly the same horizontal
Okay,
point
okay,
of the 4
okay.
bar.
Okay.
It's hard to tell on 4s that it's actually stricken through.
Okay. So 5B. is that-
5B, reduce the risk of natural hazard damage to life and property.
Okay, so objective 5.4,
Yeah, 5.3, the new 5.3.
excuse me, 5.3.
Yep. Maintain or reduce hurricane evacuation times. This is a study this is based on a study that was conducted several years ago. As far as I can tell, it hasn't been updated since. That tells you what your hurricane evacuation times are. So it's basically saying that you're just going to work with the county and your Category 1 storm surge line is the coastal high hazard area, which is the statutory definition, and it's shown on map 5.1. And just that you're gonna work with the county on maintaining the hurricane evacuation clearance times.
Bill?
I'm good.
Jack?
Good.
Bill?
yeah, the evacuation times, I mean, how do you measure that, Mel? Does anybody make?
Yes, so it was studied back in maybe the mid-2000s last, and what they do is they look at the capacity of the shelters, and they look at how many people live in the Category 1 storm surge zone, how many
Okay.
people live in the Category 2, and so depending depending on the category of the storm surge, which is directly related to how strong the hurricane is and how much storm surge is coming in, they can determine, based on the population that's inside of those storm surge zones and the capacity of the shelters or how far someone has to drive out of county to get to safety as to how many hours it will take to evacuate the county. So I think if I remember correctly, the storm surge, category storm surge 1 hurricane evacuation time for Bay County, we do it on a county analysis, was something like 13 or 14 hours to get to safety, or shelter.
But, I mean, Mexico Beach is just like, you know, like an alien to Bay County.
But they're included in the Bay County's analysis, so.
Okay.
Does the analysis, I can't remember, does the analysis take in the transient summer population? Because that's come up
They,
in recent
it's
hurricanes.
my understanding, there are two analysis, one with the transient population and one without. But the consensus, I think after the study was completed, was that the tourists either aren't gonna come if they know a hurricane is out there, or they're gonna leave early. We're gonna leave well before any hurricane evacuation post is made by the emergency management. They're not gonna wait around. They don't have to. They don't live here. They're just not even.
Does the public have anything on 5.3? Think we're good. 5.4, establish procedures, to reduce the exposure to human life. 5.6, 8.6.
Nothing on 5.6?
Jack? Alice? David?
So just make sure you're okay with the new policies on page 5.6 at the end. And this has to do with if you do have a natural disaster and you do need to issue temporary building permits, that these permits may be issued for up to 180 days for temporary housing to be placed on the same residential property where the damaged housing is no longer. So it's all the same, kind of, that if you have some sort of trailer, or whether it's a FEMA trailer or some other sort of trailer, on the same property that the residential home was destroyed in order to rebuild until you're able to rebuild your primary home. So the waiving, and then some of, number 5 is waiving some of the permitting requirements. Just to make sure you get that.
Where was the part that talked about, I guess it's on the next page, which you took out, on number 1, repair or restoration of private residential commercial structures with damage in excess of 50% of market value.
Yeah, so policy 544, when undertaking post-disaster redevelopment activities, development permits may be waived for short-term recovery, such as what's listed there. And then the long-term recovery was 545, and basically the long-term is anything that's not short-term. So long-term redevelopment activities shall require approval of development
Okay.
permits and be consistent with this plan, and that's anything that's not considered short-term. I was just trying to make it simple.
Yep. So it's that old rule of if more than 50% is damaged, can you repair it or not? Then that's going to be determined under redevelopment activities and issuing a permit as opposed to just having it written down.
So the 50% is a very, very common number that's used, especially when we're talking about non-conforming uses that are destroyed or non-conforming structures that are destroyed. And it's usually the fair market value. But what I was just trying to do was say that anything that wasn't short-term
Requires a
would have to
long-term
conform to
permit,
all of
right,
the
yeah, which should be
regulations.
covered then, which is great.
Okay, I have 5.4.10. It makes sense, but why did you do it?
5.10.
What number was that?
On page
5.10.
Page 5.6,
yes.
5.8 at the top. I mean, basically put the non-residents south of Highway 98.
This was a policy that originally said the city shall, use, it's tourist residential and tourist mixed use.
That's the
tourist
wrong
commercial,
term.
future land use categories to concentrate non-permanent populations in areas most subject to evacuation and direct permanent. So what I was trying to say is, trying to really tie it to the storm surges, which is what the grant was trying to help us recognize, so that you're not locating permanent dwelling units inside of those areas, rather let them be more of a transient area, so that, like I was mentioning earlier, if you have a natural hazard forthcoming, whether it's a hurricane or whatever it might be as a spawn off of a hurricane, tourists aren't likely to come during that time. They're gonna leave if they're already here. So just to recognize, and that's already kind of shown on your map anyway, that that's primarily a tourist.
Okay.
And that tourist mixed use is that topic we talked about before. We don't have that.
You have it, it's currently just that area on the west side of the city, that brown area.
On the west side,
And that's what the Corey property just got.
tourist mixed
Tourist
use.
mixed.
Okay.
Okay, and then my last one is back on page 5.6, 5.4.2. Cities shall not locate infrastructure facilities except for water-dependent facilities in the 100-year flood zone or the high hazard area. Do we have anything there now? No? Nothing I'm aware of.
I would be surprised if you have anything in the coastal high hazard area because it really is so small. But in the
100-year flood
100-year
zone.
flood zone, it's possible. Because, and that would be a map that comes with the conservation element, but I have a copy of it from the analysis that they report. And, I can give it to you if you want me to, but it's generally this green. The green area, that's the A zone, dark green.
The dark green?
Well, and I think it's this AE zone too. So it's the green. So the X is the up higher areas of the city. So the X is the outside of the flood zones, this yellow.
It doesn't look like it. Yeah. You might let me know, take a look at it. Doesn't look to me like there's anything in here. And that was the last thing that I had.
I had, on page 5-8, under, second paragraph from the bottom, it's provided.
Wait, we're on, that's 5C, right?
5-8.
Page 5-8. It's the one we were just talking about.
Which one is it now? What
The bottom,
what
the
policy?
bottom, look at 5.
5.6.2.
Yes. It's on page 5-8, and then it's policy 5, and it says, in regards to Gulfront properties or city-owned properties, it says, shall not sell, trade, vacate, or otherwise dispose of any property which is contiguous or provides access to the beaches or the Gulf of Mexico. We might want to consider putting ground lease in there, because you could ground lease it for 50 years, put a structure on it, and that's not something we'd want to do.
You want to add ground lease?
I think it would- Well, it says that we can't sell it, trade it, or vacate it, but you could ground lease it. So I could bring a
Yeah,
hotel in, put a hotel on the end of the jetties, you could ground lease it Mexico Beach to me for
Yes,
50
okay.
years or 80 years,
Right.
and I'd be good to go, so.
Entiendo.
Okay.
I concur.
And then on the bottom of that page, that last paragraph where you ask about whether we should let the renters know if something's gonna happen or let the owners know, I think it should be the owners.
And my comment on that was the owners. The rest of the board, what do you think? It's 5.6.43. Point 3, I'm sorry.
I think the owners have more money in the game than a renter. Back,
That would inform the renters, if you went straight to the renters, you know.
right. Also had a question, 5.4.11, which is on page 5-8, lots of numbers. By 2020, Mexico Beach shall pursue participation in the National Flood Insurance Rate Program's Community Rating System. Are we not a part of that already, Mel, or?
We are not, never have been.
Because,
And Panama City Beach is neither, so there's two of us that are not.
huh, is that hurting our flood insurance rate because we're not participating in that, or?
If we get enough points, it can give those who have it a discount.
So,
Your next question is, why aren't we pursuing it?
yeah, why do we have to wait till 2020?
We don't have to. I need the cooperation of certain citizens to take care of their property because we were given an inspection about 2 years ago. And there's a couple things that need to happen before we are qualified to be in it.
I think we talked about this 2 months ago too, didn't we? So 2 or 3 months ago about trying to get involved in this.
All right, I've sent a
Are those-
preliminary letter to the state that we're interested in doing it. So we're on file that we're just waiting for a couple of properties to get adjusted.
Are those commercial properties or residential?
Residents.
Really? They could hold up the shooting match.
In 2020, it's less than 2 years away, so it's not very much time, I suppose.
Now, what did you say about Panama City Beach related to this?
They're not part of the community rating system either.
Wow.
That surprises me.
So do we need language to help us get commercial and residential individuals, 2 or 3 or 5 that are holding up the entire city from getting on this, to give us some teeth to have that done? Do we need to put something in here to, otherwise they can just ride along, not do anything, and the whole city stuck?
We're talking the comprehensive plan here, so the answer is no.
No, we don't need to?
No.
Okay,
Something could be in the LDR. though.
Exactly.
okay, good.
Jack, you have anything else? No. Alex? David? Public? Okay, item 5.7.2 on page 5.9. City shall not fund infrastructure or other facilities located in a high hazard area. Such development should be financed by private funds, be limited to parks, recreational facilities, water dependent uses, or the enhancement or protection of natural resources. Is that ever going to, would that ever happen?
This is actually a common policy, but again, remember, your coastal high hazard area is so small.
Yeah.
It's just the beach.
I mean, I really don't see a need for that because it wouldn't happen, would it?
Well, remember, you have to remember that DEO is going to be reviewing this, and they have certain things they like to check
Okay,
off.
okay.
So
That
it's not
is-
hurting you, it's.
So it satisfies the state requirement is what you're telling me? Okay, well, that was the last, I believe that was the last thing I had.
Doesn't the new pavilion fall into there?
Well, that's why it accepts that kind of thing.
It's a recreational.
Such development shall be financed by private funds.
But then that says the city can't do it.
It's true,
The city's not doing it, evidently it's a donation.
is it?
Mhm.
But the city is providing in-kind work by building it. The donations are simply for the supplies.
Is it financial, or is it? in
It's
kind?
being
Where is that?
financed by a private individual, except that the city had to put the posts in for the roof. And we did put in the concrete, or will
Is
put
that
in the
down with the
concrete
old
pad.
municipal?
On the jetties, the one that we tore down.
I haven't
for the
been
canal
down
work.
the canal in a month, so.
And doesn't
Looks
the
nice.
new fish cleaning stuff also fall into that? I mean, it's on the canal.
That's not infrastructure. I guess it could be, I guess it depends on, is it a facility, fish cleaning station, facility?
Recreational facility.
Restrooms, if we get restrooms,
Facility would be a restaurant.
Don't hold your
Yeah.
breath.
But are they in the coastal high hazard area?
well,
Well, it's on the
It's on the
canal,
It's on the canal.
but that's not listed in your green, that's not in the green area. No, it's on the back side, so it's not in that area then.
Yeah, I mean, without having a computer to really look, it's
I mean, based on the map that you've given us, it's not in that area.
Okay.
It's
You're saying.
a different shore.
Here, do you have one of these? The coastal hazard area is this blue, thin blue line, this blue line here along the beach. And you can barely see some here along it now. So unless the facility was inside of that blue line.
The lines are on one side of the canal and not on the other.
Not, it's a slosh model that some big technical machine looks down on the earth and figures out. the
Yeah,
high
that's probably
flows.
beyond her pay grade.
They do an analysis over a certain number of years as to high tides and low tides and how high a tide came during a hurricane and average it out over a certain amount of time and that's.
Okay, well, unless there's any other comment, I think that concludes the coastal management element. The next issue is planning the next meeting. Can we plan on doing comp plan as our next meeting? Do we have business?
We have no business variance-wise or anything like that for next week's meeting. But we will, if I get it from the attorney, discuss the accessory apartment thing in the backyard that we spoke about last time.
Okay. How much time, Alara, do you need to get the next 3 sections together? Because that would complete it, correct?
So what your normal April meeting, would that be on the 3rd or the 10th? Maybe the first?
We have a March meeting coming up, or
March.
March 6th.
Yeah, I won't be here on the 6th, that's why we have the meeting tonight.
April 3rd.
Okay.
Okay.
April 3rd?
Okay, well then, if you're not going to be here, then you
I won't
worry
be
about
here on
that.
the
We'll just go ahead with the
So
normal
just
meeting.
regular meeting.
This plan, so we need to plan. I would like to complete it. We've got 3 more sections to go, and they're really small, and they should be pretty cut and dried. So how much time do you need to get that stuff together?
So if you have a meeting on the 3rd and your packet needs to be to you on the 30th? is that right?
29th.
March, the 29th? I'm out of half of March, that's why I'm pausing.
Okay.
That's why
Well,
I'm
just
meeting on the
for,
6th.
I'm out 21 March to 15 April too.
Well, do you want to just shoot for May, is that would be May the 1st then? Would that be May the 1st?
I'd like to get it out of there before we do that. I mean, I don't have to be here for that as long as we've got a quorum.
Well, I'm open to meeting with you on the 3rd of April. I probably won't have, because there's 4 sections left. I don't think I'll have all 4 left done for you to distribute in time, but I certainly could have 2 of them done.
Well, how much time is it going to take if you do, how about if we do 2?
I could do 2.
2 on the 3rd? And then we could,
The
at the
3rd of
3rd, we
April?
could schedule another meeting to see.
Yeah, is that
What it looks like.
good for everybody else on the board to make sure we've got a quorum?
I won't be here
Because
this
well, there's 2 of us that won't be here, so.
If you could maybe do like we did today, on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, we have a city council meeting in the mornings. We could do another one on the 17th, which is that Tuesday in the evening.
It's 24th.
I'm sorry, the 24th.
Are we in
Fourth
March or
Tuesday.
April?
You're right.
24th of March,
24th?
April.
April.
24th of April, I'll be back. And how about the rest?
Not me.
You're gone?
No, I'll be here.
I'm here.
Okay, well, okay, so what we're talking now is,
Regular meeting on the 3rd of April, right?
yeah,
And then the special comp meeting on the 24th.
Are you opposed to having a day?
Council meets during the day that day.
how about you, Jack, you're the only one that affects, right? Having
Which
a
day?
Having a day meeting.
Just saying that council's
24th.
meeting during the day that day. My daughter has a
During the day.
concert, a choral concert that night.
Okay, so
During the day is fine.
schedule
But
for,
they're saying there's a council meeting that day.
Lunch?
All day?
That's at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
Maybe a
1300?
bring your lunch like we did before. I mean, have it during
Fine
lunchtime.
with me.
What's a good time, Adrian? The 24th?
I'm open. 1 o'clock? Does that work?
hope we're out by 4.
I sure hope we're out by 4.
Yeah, we'll be.
Okay, well, tentatively, right now, we'll plan for a regular meeting on the 3rd, and then the 24th, another comp plan. You say you'll have 2 sections for us then?
By the 24th of April, I'll probably have all 4.
Okay, well, if you have all 4, what I'd like to do, once we get those knocked out, then Alara will come up with a hard copy of everything without the red print and the line throughs and all the other stuff. And I'd like for everybody to have that in hand for a couple of weeks, and for the hard copy to be posted on the website, the city website, and then hold a meeting where we get all the public in here so they can comment on what we've got, so we can get input from the public and from the board before we give it to the council. So I will look at doing that in May. Okay, hopefully get it to the council before June.
Perfect.
Did we determine 1 o'clock on the 24th?
1300 on the 24th.
Gotcha.
But I think the grant requires you to transmit at least the coastal management element by the end of June,
And June 1st is the last.
June 1st.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can present that, since we're done with that. We can present that to the council at the regular meeting in May? Or do we need to do it in April?
Well, it's up to you, but if you're comfortable with me making the changes that you requested tonight, I can just send that over to Mel, and you can schedule that whenever. And I can, as long as it's not during the first half of March, I can be here.
But do it during, actually give a formal presentation during the normal council meeting.
Can we schedule for April 24th in the regular meeting so she doesn't have to come here twice? Do it the same day?
That would work.
And it's just a transmittal, they're not going to adopt it, it's just a transmittal, and just send it on to the state for review.
Okay.
It's like one of the first of 2 hearings, and then I'll hear, when it comes back from the state, then they'll adopt it by ordinance if they want to. But that's not a requirement of the grant, the only thing I understand, you just have to transmit it.
Right.
Okay. What are the dates and times?
April 24th at 1 p.m.
Okay.
And then you and I would be here at 0900 for the council meeting. Okay.
Do you want me to write up we can talk about it after.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about the guest quarters and all that stuff next week.
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything else, Mel?
I have nothing.
Does any member of the board have any other business? Public? Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
We're getting better.